What if I told you that most of the tips and strategies you've likely heard on sales is total bullshit? Or at least based on nothing substantial that can actually verify these ideas as being any good at all. With tons of people out there making a living by selling sales training courses, sales masterminds, and books on sales, the sales training industry has gotten so saturated that the only way to stand out is by saying something new and perhaps even counterintuitive. In this video, I'm not only going to be using data and results from actual studies to support ideas on how to be significantly better at sales, but I'll also be exposing popular mainstream ideas on sales that really have no evidence to back their claims. My name is Mike Arce, and between me and the people on my team, we've now worked with thousands of fitness studios and gyms globally here at Loudrumor and helped the companies in our 360 program grow by an average of more than 89% in their first year. The biggest reason why? We improved their sales and marketing plays. Like many good salespeople, I kind of already had a knack for it. By the way, that truth is an example in and of itself of the type of stuff that we're going to be going over today. Many sales trainers will tell you that they used to be awful at sales until they learned plug in their secret and then everything changed. The truth is, I've yet to meet or learn about anyone that's a world-class salesperson that didn't already have somewhat of a knack for it. But that message doesn't sell to the masses, and they want the masses to buy. Yes, average salespeople can get better with training, just like average athletes can get better at sports, but I'm also very interested in sports and have yet to study an athlete that's world-class that wasn't already physically, genetically gifted before they trained. Ever since my first job in sales as a teenager, I was able to sell more than my peers just by being more enthusiastic and positive and helpful than they were. And this was with zero sales training. Then in my mid-20s, I had my first conversation with a studied sales trainer. My mind was like blown. He brought so many new ideas and ways of thinking to the table that I just felt like a total amateur in the game. And I was. And that started a journey for me that included reading books on sales and watching videos on sales, going through sales courses, joining sales masterminds, and on, and I fell in a pretty deep rabbit hole. And yes, some of those things did actually make me better in sales, but not everything worked the way that it was sold. Sometimes salespeople are so good at selling that an idea or a theory can actually appear as law, meaning this is the right way to do it. Great salespeople speak with a tremendous amount of conviction, so when one of them shares one of their theories, it can actually appear true even with lack of evidence other than their own personal stories. As I've grown more in my career, I've learned to challenge ideas and theories before fully buying in, regardless of how true they may sound. So let's start with lesson number 1, which is on follow-up. You've likely heard many sales trainers preach on the importance of follow-up. Quotes like dial and smile and call until they buy or die are polarizing and memorable, but is there truth behind it when it comes to closing more deals? Well, for this particular one, yes, it's actually true, and here's some data to support it. In a recent study in the UK held by Robert Clay focused on tenacity results in sales, it revealed that it takes 5+ attempts to close more than 80% of prospects. Interestingly enough, though, 92% of salespeople give up after 4 attempts, and only 8% of salespeople follow up a 5th time. In this particular study, 44% of the salespeople gave up after the first attempt. 22% gave up after the second, 14% gave up after the third, and 12% gave up after the fourth. There were also different studies I found, such as the one done by the National Sales Executive Association, that were carried out in different years, different industries, and places by different market research companies, and they all revealed a consistency in the majority of salespeople quitting follow-up before the breaking point of where most prospects actually make a purchase. That Robert Clay study also revealed that 63% of people requesting information about your company today will not purchase for at least 3 months, while 20% will take more than 12 months to buy. This means it's not about being in front of people when you're ready for them to buy, but staying in front of them until they're ready to buy. And then you've been the one that's been there the whole time. This doesn't just talk to follow up with leads, but also the amount of times you show ads to your people on and offline. So this takes me to lesson number 2 regarding ad frequency. A study by Microsoft in 2019 found that prospects that saw a sequence of 2 ads led to a 19% increase in engagement and a 10% increase in purchase intent compared to just seeing 1 ad. And the research continued to support the idea that multiple exposures to a product or brand increase the likelihood of engagement in process. This argues a popular theory that ad frequency, meaning the amount of times a person sees a particular ad, should be limited to 3, 6, or 8 times, depending on the guru that you might have heard it from. But this can't be law because that depends on many other factors. Are the people in that audience top of the funnel, meaning they're further from making a purchase and they may not even be a real prospect? Or are they in the middle or bottom of the funnel where the probability of them being a real prospect with real interest is a lot higher? Regardless, the overall consensus is that showing people more of your ads is best. And a study done by Roland S. Vail on effective frequency revealed that the optimal frequency for an ad to be effective is between 5 and 20 exposures per purchase cycle, with the average optimal frequency being 10 exposures. So, regardless of what gurus tell you, the truth is, don't stop showing your ads to people at 3, 6, or 8 times. Most people don't even register your brand in their mind yet. Lesson number 3 is around lead response time. So based on data, salespeople should absolutely call leads that filled out the form as soon as humanly possible. A study done by MIT revealed that companies who contacted potential customers within 5 minutes of receiving a query were 900% more likely to have a meaningful conversation with a key decision maker than those that waited an hour or longer. A similar study done by Harvard Business Review showed that companies who contacted leads within an hour of receiving the query were 7 times as likely to have a meaningful conversation with a decision maker than those that waited an hour past that, and more than 60 times more likely as companies that waited 24 hours or longer. Salespeople, call your leads, call them fast, and call them often. If you think you can call a new lead after lunch or in the morning, you can. But your success rate will suffer and you'll have less right to blame the lead quality, as it was the follow quality that struggled to carry the weight. Lesson number 4, getting prospects to say yes throughout the entire sales conversation. This is sometimes confused with the yes ladder or yes momentum. So kind of the same, but those theories are once the people have agreed or committed to something, even something small, they're more likely to continue in that same direction due to their desire for consistency. So that theory then got confused with, if you can get a prospect to just say yes a bunch of times before asking for the sale, well, then you've preconditioned them to say yes to things, increasing the probability of them saying yes to being a client. This sounds more like hypnosis than science. The difference between the actual original theory and the one that some bozo made up later on is the original theory gets prospects to make sort of commitments, micro commitments, or verbal agreements to things, whereas the other really just gets people to say yes to damn near anything. This led to amateur salespeople asking valueless questions, valueless to both the salesperson and the prospect, such as, so if we can help get you in the best shape of your life, would that be of value to you? So it sounds like you want to be more successful. Is that right? If this worked the way I said it would that be exciting to you? These are terrible, annoying, loaded questions that don't add any value to anyone at the table. But salespeople ask questions like this because they're just wanting to get the prospect to say yes, thinking that this is a proven technique. And it's not proven. It's not at all. And if anything, it can come across as manipulative. Modern customers are savvy and they value authenticity. They might recognize the technique for what it is, which can cause them to retreat and distrust a salesperson. Robert Cialdini, author of one of my favorite books, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, gave quite a few examples that does, however, imply that micro-commitments can be effective. So here's some examples of that. John, once you're in this program, I really need you to do your best to show up on time at least 3 times per week. And that can actually be hard for some. So I just want to check in with you. Is that something you can commit to? Jane, my job is to always make sure that you're doing your best here and you're consistent. That's how we get you to your goals on time. So if at any time I feel like you're having an off day, do I have permission to check with you and push you a bit? These are examples where you're creating verbal agreements around the work that can only be done once they become a paying member. It's not just about getting people to say yes, but to actually make commitments. Lesson number 5. This is around the 90-10 rule, saying that prospects should do 90% of the talking and salespeople talk 10%. Some sales trainers will tell you 90%, and some have said 80%. Even I've said 80% in the past, but what's the actual truth? Neither. In fact, Gong.io, which is an incredible sales tool used by 3,500 companies and over 100,000 sales reps are running this, they ran an analysis of 519,000 discovery calls only to reveal that the top salespeople, meaning the most successful in the study in regards to close rates, spend 53.6% of the call talking and 46.4% of the call listening. This means the best salespeople actually do slightly more talking than the prospect. Now keep in mind, the worst salespeople do more than 80% of the talking. So there is truth to saying that talking too much can kill a sale, but the 90-10 or the 80-20 rule doesn't really seem to have any substantial evidence to support this claim. First, a good percentage of people just aren't that talkative and deliver short answers to questions that may need reframing by a salesperson. Second, although we want to gather information about the prospect to better understand and sell them, one of the main drivers for that prospect being on the call is to learn more about your company and the offerings as well. So to be able to ask questions and answer most of them in just 10 to 20% of the call is damn near impossible, with the exception of the times that you're on the phone with a chatty Cathy, defined as someone that talks a lot and goes off a ton of tangents. And even then, as salespeople, we have to jump in to realign them back to the main purpose of the call, which takes words. This idea not only fits for sales calls, but with in-person sales meetings as well. Lesson number 6, build a pipeline. Though there is a logical understanding of the importance of constantly filling your pipeline with new prospects, a study done by Paul W. Ferris, author of Marketing Metrics, claims that the probability of selling to a new prospect is 5 to 20%, while the probability of selling to an existing customer is 60 to 70%. This actually falls in line with our internal data here at Loudrumor. When it comes to internet leads like Facebook and Instagram, the average gym has about a 12% lead to close ratio. This means if you got 100 leads from the internet, if you consider the percentage you actually get on the phone, then the percentage you get to book, and the percentage that shows, and the percentage that closes, the average company closes about 12 of 100 digital leads. Now, obviously, the best close much better, some reporting close to 30% or a little higher, and the worst, well, they just don't close. However, when looking for new revenue, which is the main function of marketing, increase revenue, the easiest, best place to look is within your existing customer base. So which clients can upgrade to a better program? Which clients can be sold ancillary services or programs? Which clients haven't had a pricing increase in a while? Which clients can generate referrals? A study by Gartner Group found that more than 80% of a company's future revenue will come from less than 20% of its existing customer base. This is the lowest hanging fruit for most businesses to increase revenue. Again, the only real function of marketing. And if you want to learn more about how to do this effectively, you can check out loudrumor.com/2x-profit. It's a completely free training. Enjoy. These are just 6 of about 40 sales strategies we've either proven or debunked for our clients at Loudrumor. And if you own a gym and want to work closer with us, just go to loudrumor.com/discover. And if you want to learn more about sales and marketing mastery, check out the videos you see here, and we'll see you in the next video.